Most frustrating cheating stories of 2024, Story 1. For 34 years, we had what I believe to be a perfect marriage. We have 4 daughters, all of whom have grown up to be successful and have children of their own, except for our youngest, Annie, 17, who we had 16 years after our first. Annie is still living with us, as she's a senior in high school. Annie is very popular and frequently has friends over after school and on weekends. Her best friend, Bailey, 18, is almost always at our house. Bailey has developed a great relationship with both my husband and me. She comes to church with us most Sundays and often joins in on family gatherings. About a month ago, I started noticing that Bailey and my husband would stay up to watch movies together after Annie went to bed. At first, I didn't think much of it, but as it continued every weekend, I began to feel more uncomfortable. One evening, I even walked into the living room and saw my husband cuddling with my daughter's friend on our couch. 2 days ago, I spoke with Annie about the situation. She was completely unaware that this was happening and said she planned to tell Bailey how uncomfortable it made her. Annie also told me about a previous situation where Bailey had gotten close to another one of my daughter's friends' dads. Apparently, Bailey tried to badmouth the man's wife to manipulate him into sleeping with her. This morning, I finally gathered the courage to check my husband's phone. I know it's an invasion of privacy, but a woman's intuition is rarely wrong. The first thing I checked was his messages. I found a contact with Bailey's name, and when I clicked on the messages, I saw a text from my husband that read, "I can't wait to do it again next weekend," with a winking emoji. Bailey's response was, "I can't wait till you're out of that place and we can do it every day." I haven't confronted my husband or Annie about this yet. I'm torn for 2 reasons. 1. I don't want to jump to conclusions and destroy the 34 years of marriage we've had. 2. I don't want to ruin my daughter's friendship and her reputation at school. I want to confront my husband, but I'm afraid of how it will affect Annie's life. What should I do? This is such a heartbreaking betrayal, not just from your husband, but from someone you trusted like family. Confronting him is inevitable, but your strength in handling this situation will define what comes next. Story 2. My wife confessed to cheating right after giving birth. I don't know what to do. So my wife confessed to cheating on me, and now I'm completely torn. About 4 weeks after giving birth to our first child, she told me that roughly 2-3 months into our marriage, she cheated on me with one of her exes. She claims it was only hand stuff, but honestly, how can I trust that? On top of this bombshell, the timeline has me seriously questioning if the child is even mine. I've already ordered a paternity test behind her back, and it's arriving tomorrow. But, to be honest, I'm terrified of the result. Right now, I'm trying to stay in this marriage purely for our child. If we didn't have him, I'd walk away without hesitation. The truth is, I'm drowning in own depression. I hate myself for still loving her, yet at the same time, I'm filled with anger and resentment. Every day I try to act like I'm okay, but inside I'm breaking apart. I've given everything to this relationship. I've worked so hard in my career to make enough for her to fulfill her dream of being a stay-at-home mum. We're even planning to move across the country to be closer to her family. I bought her a gear, and I hardly ever spend money on myself. Everything goes to her. And this is how she repays me. If anyone out there has been through something similar, I'd love to hear your thoughts or opinions. I've been toying with the idea of divorce, but I'm worried the court will grant her majority custody just because she's the mum, even though she's unemployed and would have to live with her parents. I genuinely believe our child would be better off with both of us in the same home, even if that means I have to endure this for 18 years until he's grown. What do you think? Should I suffer through for the sake of my child, or is there a better option? I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has shared their thoughts and advice. It's only been a few minutes, but your support is helping me more than I can put into words. I felt so isolated, and having people to talk to, even online, is a relief. To give a bit more context, I'm 25, and my wife is 24. I know I have a lot of life ahead of me to heal from this, but right now, it's hard to see a way out. I just want to be happy again, but no matter what I choose, I can't imagine how that will happen. To add to the weight of everything, she's threatened to harm herself if I leave, which scares me even more. It's unbelievable how someone you trust can flip your world upside down in an instant. The red flags were there, but we often ignore them out of love. You deserve way better than a manipulator who can't respect boundaries. Story 3. My ex is in a relationship with the guy I caught her cheating with. Let me share my story of betrayal, one that left me with trust issues I'm still working through. I, 25M, was in a 1.5-year-long relationship with a woman we'll call Sarah, 23F. Sarah was amazing, smart, driven, beautiful, and honestly, I thought she might be the one. We supported each other's goals, had fun, and were even starting to talk about the future. Things felt solid, you feel me? Sarah was in her final year of nursing school, and her schedule was insane. Long nights at the hospital, tons of studying, exams. I tried to be as supportive as I could, cooking for her, keeping her company, just being there for her when things got tough. One night, she told me she had to attend a late-night study group. This wasn't unusual, so I didn't think much of it at first. But something just felt off that night. Call it a gut feeling, but I couldn't shake the sense that something wasn't right. Later that evening, curiosity got the best of me. Yeah, I know, some might say that's toxic, but I decided to check her location since we shared it on our phones. Instead of being at the library like usual, she was at a bar downtown, which is crazy because she rarely drinks. My heart sank. I called her, but it went straight to voicemail. So I decided to go check things out myself. When I pulled up, I saw her through the window laughing and holding hands with another guy. That sight hit me like a ton of bricks. I really thought we had a future together, you know? I confronted her on the spot, and at first she tried to deny it. But the proof was right there in front of her. Eventually, she admitted that she'd been seeing this guy for a few weeks. She said she felt neglected and that I didn't understand how hard school was for her. That really hurt because I had been nothing but supportive. We broke up that night, messy, painful, and it left me with deep trust issues. But the worst part? A few months later I bumped into her again. She was still with the same guy and they were both wearing scrubs. Turns out he was in her nursing program all along, and those study groups were just a cover story for their relationship. Seeing them together was sickening. I'm still picking up the pieces from this, but I've learnt some tough lessons about trust and betrayal. This experience has shown me that I deserve someone who is honest and loyal, no matter what life throws our way. It's been hard, but I'm moving forward and learning to value myself more. Story 4. My GF has broken my trust multiple times, and I'm not sure if I can be with her anymore. Some context. I, 23M, have been dating my girlfriend, 23F, for nearly 2 years now. She's my first serious relationship, but I'm her 5th. We had a rough start because she was still friends with her ex when we started dating. I wasn't okay with that, so she told me she would cut him off soon, but she was afraid of the conversation because he was toxic and a narcissist, and she was worried about how he'd react. So at about 3 months into our relationship, she was still chatting with him, and even picking him up after work to drive him home. I expressed how I felt about it, and she apologized, assuring me she would fix it. I didn't want to push it too hard and come off as controlling, so I trusted her and waited. After 5 months, she finally ended things with him after I brought it up for the 6th time. She basically told him that she was in a new relationship and that they shouldn't hang out or text anymore. I thought that was the end of it. But then, 7 months in, just 3 days before Christmas, I finished work at 9 p.m. and wanted to see her before I went to stay with my family for 2 weeks, who live in another city. I called her and told her I was driving over. She refused to meet me even though all she had to do was step outside her apartment. Her reason? It's late at night and my hair is wet. I laughed, thinking she was joking, but she was serious and refused to meet me. I was sad about it, but I brushed it off, thinking it was just bad timing. The next morning she called me and told me that her ex had called her and made her meet him outside her apartment. Apparently they hugged, and he gave her a Christmas present, which she accepted. We had a huge fight over it. She also hid some details, and at first she told me they had just met by accident, but I was naive and trusted her twisted version of the story. I've never raised my voice in any argument, always trying to stay calm and understanding. Maybe she was taking advantage of that. Later on, after about a year, I started having trust issues, especially since some other exes of hers were still in the picture. She also started going out more with her girlfriends, which I was fine with, but one night she got super drunk and didn't want me to pick her up late from the bar. The next morning I saw an Instagram story with 4 guys in the picture. When I asked her how the night was, she just said it was fun and didn't give me any details. When I mentioned the guys in the picture, she didn't say much at first, but after a long conversation she had admitted that one of the guys had been hitting on her all night, buying her drinks, and she stayed the whole time. She doesn't seem to deeply regret the disrespect she's shown me, and after promising to do better, something new always happens, whether it's disrespect or micro-cheating. Every argument ends with her apologizing and assuring me it won't happen again, but her actions never match her words. I feel like I'm done, but I don't want to throw away 2 years of our relationship. The only thing keeping me here is that I know deep down she understands what she's done and could be better. She is empathetic and really intelligent. You've been more than patient, but her repeated betrayals show a lack of respect. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, and if it's broken this many times, it might be time to move on. You deserve better. That we're the cruel stories of today. Subscribe if you haven't yet. We upload daily. In the meanwhile, click on the next video. You will enjoy this one for sure. We bring this story to a close and continue with the next one.